Okay, so Lawrence, today
Yeah.
we will discuss the third learning outcome, be able to implement a database design. So the contents are, the database construction using the SQL queries, user actions, then the database implementation features such as database security features, database links using LAMP, WIMP, graphical user interface, then certain testings of the database, testing plans, database components, extreme data, error handling. These things we will be discussing today. Yeah.
Okay.
So you remember that we discussed last time that in order to communicate with the database, we used a language called structured query language. Yeah.
Yeah.
So the structured query language is not only used to communicate with the data, but also creating the database. We need the commands in SQL. Yeah. SQL. So if you want to create a database, then you need to instruct to the database using the SQL. So when you say that implementing a database or creating a database means using the SQL commands, you should be able to do. Have you ever had a chance to do some SQL queries?
No, not in the week.
You haven't done ever?
You mean in the past week?
Yeah, no, not past week, but ever.
No, not really.
Okay. So basically the databases can be a form-based, a graphical user interface-based, or they could be communicated via the SQL. Like, the database MS Access. Have you heard about the Microsoft Access?
Yes. Yeah, I've heard about Microsoft Access.
Have you ever used it?
I have not.
Okay, so let's say this one, Microsoft Access, and we say this is a blank database. We created a blank database. We created a field, let's say ID, order ID. Okay, and then another field is order date. Yeah. So once you created this one table, okay, and after closing this table 1, and then you should be able to insert data into database like so this one design view. One second.
Order date. Text. Okay. Date and time. Okay. Alright. Number.
Okay. So now look at this. A table in a design view, you are going to create a table here like order ID, yeah, order date and price. Then if you click on this, you can have a look that this order ID itself is like a additional column created 1, 2, 3, 4. Order ID is, let's say, P1, another is a P2, P2. Order date can be like any. price is 3, price is 3. So basically this is a table you created, this is the data of the order. Okay.
Yeah.
So same you can create a form as well, okay, like this, and now look at this entry, like ID1, ID P1, P2. Look, now click on this one. Is that data is changing, records are changing. Yeah.
Okay.
So this database is Microsoft Access, let's say. It is allowing you to create straight away the database in front of you. Okay. In the
Yeah.
tabular form, in the form, the graphical user interface form, like, there could be lots of, the, records, P3, let's say date can be any, okay, price can be, let's say this. Now you have 3 records. 1, 2, 3. 3 records we entered, and 4th one, 5th one, 6th one. So obviously this is the interaction with the database, but using the forms, yeah. And this database can also be communicated via the structured query language, like because over here you are using the keyboard and the mouse to operate it, yeah.
Yeah.
But if you want the programs to be communicated internally, then obviously the database will not be instructed using the mouse, but it needs a commands. Yeah, commands is the structured query language. So how that structured query language can be used is basically the query languages we use, and you need to understand what is SQL. The best source to learn SQL is, let's say, SQLW schools. So these are, let's say, some kind of, the commands, as commands, where you use it, like select column 1, column 2 from table name. Only you want to view only the 2 columns, okay. Select asterisk from table name, then it will give you all the columns and rows in the result. Okay. Now try yourself. Now this, there is a table name, customer name. There is a table, customers. You want to view only customer name and city from customers. When we run this command, this is a command prompt. Yeah. Now see, customer name and city being shown in and being taken from the database.
Okay.
Any question?
Yeah, I'm seeing it.
Okay. So is it clear?
Select customer name, city. Okay.
Like this is a kind of online, database from the W3 schools. It allows you to play with the database and to play with the, tables and see how SQL works. Make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. And if I say select asterisk,
Hello?
yeah. If I say select asterisk from customers, then it will give you the all, columns in the result. Yeah.
Okay, select asterisks from customers.
Yeah, asterisk. We call asterisk customer. So customer is a table. It has column customer ID, customer name, address, and these things. So all the these things are shown in the result. Is it clear?
Yeah.
And you could say like select address from customers. Okay. Then you are only able to see the address of the record. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you could say like
Select price from customers. Is there a price? No. City.
let's say country. Okay.
Contact me.
Take from customers. Okay. Where country equal to Germany. Country now 1 second. Now look at this. Select asterisk from customers, and where you need to write the where in capital. Okay. And where country equal to in single quote Mexico or Germany. Then see the result. But only getting the results where the country is Mexico.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can you write Germany to get the results of Germany? Yeah. So to write small or capital doesn't make difference. Yeah. But you need to use the way like select star from customers, where country is Germany, or where postal code is this, where the city is this, where the contact name is this, the customer name is this. So you play with this in this way. Yeah, is it clear?
Yeah.
Okay. So the most like the basic command for the SQL is select command. Yeah. Then you use like a select distinct. Okay. You want to see the distinct records like this, where the customers have a distinct country. Let's select distinct country from customers. Okay. So what this should show the results. Yeah. If this is the select distinct country from customer, so what do you expect?
What do I expect?
Yeah, the result. Which result do you expect?
think the group of customers from different countries.
Yeah, there will not be any repetition there. Like this one produced the customers from Germany, yeah, and probably more than, in any country there were, the more customers from same country. Okay, like if I
Yes.
say, if I don't put like this, when I say customers, then there are repeated customers from Germany, Mexico, UK, Germany, this. But when I say distinct, then you only get countries, distinctly. So these are the countries you get it. Distinct.
Okay.
You could also write like select asterisk from customers. Where, not sure this will work or not, but you can also want to see that anything from customers should be shown where the country is distinct. Okay, like here country equal so these sentences are to be practiced from sequence. I just gave you a random idea that you can select the anything from the customer. You understand that if it's asterisk, then it means you want to view all the columns. Okay.
Okay.
You could select the selected number of columns like ID, the name, address as well. You can say that where the country is, like we use the equals class, yeah, where the country is Mexico, and you can also select a distinct country. Okay, we use the distinct country command as well, like the previous one, this one. Okay, so it is showing like a distinct country from customers. And you can say like any records from the customers where the country should be shown distinct. Make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. Don't worry about the how they will be made, but they will be done practice from the sequence, like select, it says distinct country from customers. Okay, select distinct. If I say distinct, yeah, this work. Yeah, select distinct anything from customer. So these are the distinct everywhere, but probably you are saying select stick. You are just playing,
Yeah.
No, this didn't work. Let us select select distinct city from customers. So it is showing the distinct cities to you. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's the way you play with, like where class and select column 1 and column 2, select like this way. For example, select column 1 column from column 1 column 2 from table this, where condition 1 and condition 2 should meet. Yeah. So probably there can be different conditions, like the country is Germany is a one condition, okay, and probably the city is another condition. So you only want the orders from particular country and particular city. Make sense?
Yes.
Okay. Then order by null values, update, delete, select top, minimum and maximum, joins, left join, group by join, union. These are basically the SQL commands that you need to play with and understand it and use it. Is it clear?
Yes.
So possibly, these commands might need, full, maybe, hours to do the practice. Okay. So obviously that's your homework. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Now we go ahead with this. In addition to these, the basic commands, obviously there are certain advanced commands like SQL union, union all, inline view, intersect, minus, limit, top. Union is like SQL statement 1, and then UNION, union SQL statement 2. Then how you get the result? If you have a table like let's say store information, store name, cells, and transaction date, and then there is another table, internet cells. So this one is the store cells, this one is the internet cells. Then if you want to select the date, yeah,
Production date.
select, yeah, the date when the item was sold, for example, from store information, and you want to make a union between the date the sale was done on the internet. Okay. So let us see, the total date will be the 5th, 7th, 8th, yeah, then 10th, 11th, 12th. Then see and expect the result is basically 5th, 7th, 8th, 10th, 11th, 12th. Make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is the work of a union light. Okay. Then union all. Okay. In this result, this skipped the duplication. Like a 7th one.
Skips the repetitions.
Yeah. It skipped the repetition. When you say union all, then it did include the repetition as well.
Okay.
Yeah. So you need to look at basically the idea that which command gives the result in which way. Yeah. Make sense?
Yes.
Normally, this is kind of introduction, and when you really want to design the database for the client's briefs, whatever they need, yeah, you use the commands accordingly.
Okay.
So this is another command. Then intersect. Intersect is kind of the opposition of the union. The intersect gives the only the matching dates. Like the intersection between this and this is 7th of January. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Select the transaction date or TXN date from store information from internet cells, and the intersection is the 7th of January. Yeah.
Yeah.
Then minus is basically let's say this result 5th, 7th, 8th, 8th, and you are doing a minus from this, like a 7, 10, 11, 12 went minus, then obviously you will be left with the 5th and 8th one, because 7th will be mined and deleted, and 10, 11, 12 is not present at all. Make sense?
No, I didn't get that.
Minus. You
Okay.
know, you have a date. You want to remove the dates of internet sales from this.
Okay.
So if you look at this, if I ask you to remove this full dates from this, what do you expect?
We have 5 and okay, yeah, I got it now. 5 and 8.
Yeah, 5 and 8, yeah.
Yeah.
Now SQL limit, it will allow you to limit the number of records. For example, if you want to select the store names, these for the limit of 2, then you only get 2 records there. Normally you are asking to list the all records, yeah, but when you say limit 2, then you are getting only 2 records. 1 record and first record, second record. Yeah?
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
making, it says select from store name. Select what? Store name, sales, and transaction date from where store information, this is a table. Order by sales. Sales is the order, okay?
Yeah.
Like it's asking you to sort as well, yeah? By descending order, descending like the decreasing. So it has to give a limit of 2, okay? 2. If you start this table, then the first is the 1500 cells, another is the 700, yeah? And third record in the order is the San Francisco, fourth one is the San Diego. Yeah, make sense?
Yeah.
So in addition to the limit, it has tested the order by clause as well. Yeah.
Okay.
SQL top is like is also kind of, you know, 1 second, let me read it to you. In the previous section, we saw the limit can be used to retrieve a subset of records in the MySQL. In Microsoft SQL Server, this is accomplished in the top. So this is similar to, you know, the limit, but in Microsoft SQL Server, you use the keyword top. So remember that possibly you might get a slight change of commands while using, let's say, if you are using the Oracle SQL and the Microsoft SQL. That's the only, you know, just kind of slide for you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now we come to the next topic. So just mind it that just gave you an introduction to the SQL, yeah, quickly, but the SQL itself is a very, you know, important, you know, topic, and you need to practice it. Like, you know, there is a certification in the SQL by Oracle or Orasoft or wherever, yeah, and just, you know, looking at these commands, that how they work, what results do you expect if you have a question, that if you need the results in this way, then it will be your choice that how you would use it. Make sense?
Yeah.
And which commands you would use. Okay?
Yeah.
So I hope you will, you know, review these commands on the internet in the W3 school, yeah, as well as, you know, you would try on internet that what commands you can play with, yeah.
Yes.
Okay, the next topic is what is the security in a database. Database security refers to the collective measures used to protect and secure a database or database management software. from illegitimate use and malicious threats and attacks. It's a broad term that includes a multitude of processes, tools, methodologies that ensure security within a database environment. Yeah?
Yeah.
Database security continued. Database security covers and enforces security on all aspects and components of databases. This includes data stored in a database. Yeah. So whatever the data is stored into the database, that has to be secured. The database server itself, the database management system itself, and other database workflow applications. So wherever you are dealing with the security, you need to focus on the security of the data, the database itself, the database server. You must have heard about the server is hacked. Yeah. Some of the websites, some they were hacked. So they basically hack the servers, they hack the databases, they hack the websites, and if they are not secure. Okay.
Yeah.
Database security is generally planned, implemented, and maintained by a database administrator or other information security professionals. Some of the ways database security is analyzed and implemented include restricting unauthorized access and use by implementing strong multi-factor access and data management controls. What are the measures? You restrict unauthorized usage. Obviously, whoever will be using the database will have some authorized username and password. Okay, so no one else unauthorized can be used, and possibly you can use the multi-factor access. Like if you wanted to access the database, probably they might ask you to enter the code sent to the mobile as well. Have you ever nowadays seen the Facebook or different applications? Before you can enter use any application, they ask you to enter code.
Yes, they'll send the code to maybe to the phone or something.
Yeah. So that is called yeah. So that is called the multi-factor access. Yeah. That is a multi-factor access. So then load, stress testing, and capacity testing of a database to ensure it does not crash in a distributed denial of service attack or user overload. So security wise, if an attacker is basically overloading or putting the too much stress on the database, then you get that distributed denial of service. Normally what happens that most of the websites, they are not hacked indeed, yeah, but the hackers, what they do, they request the website 1,000 times, okay, and it looks like that the service or the website becomes available to common user. Okay, so if it becomes unavailable to common user, it means it's hacked. Yeah. If the intended customers of the website cannot access the website, they think that it's hacked. If, for example, if you have a small business, yeah, and if you have a good mayors of the website, if I cannot hack the website, but I can access your website, let's say through the software, like 1,000 times in a second, then your website will become unavailable. Okay, so it is a kind of security threat, denial of service, a kind of a technique, is a security gap, a security hole where if you don't implement the anti-denial of service, methods. Is that clear?
Yeah.
Physical security of the database server and backup equipment from threat and natural disasters. Make sense?
Yeah.
So not only the you implement the security in the software, but your server should also be secure from theft and the natural disasters like earthquake or anything. Yeah. Review existing system for any known or unknown vulnerabilities and defining and implementing a roadmap plan to mitigate them, to reduce them. Okay. So these are the security measures you need to think and implement. Yeah.
Yeah.
Data security features continued. What are the security features that can protect the database? Digital certificate is a unique identifier given to an entity to provide the authentication of a computer, document, or web page. Then a third party such as Equifax certifies that the document is legal or illegal. So basically, when you use your emails, when you use the any of the applications securely, like your banking, they do communicate using a digital certificate. For example, if you are a user and you are using your browser, then it travels with a digital certificate that you are an authenticated user and you are using the username and password without amended. Yeah. Is it clear?
Yeah, I'm with you.
And encryptions alter the data, so unauthorized users cannot view the data information. They cannot include the data. Firewalls protect a network from unauthorized access from the internet. For example, if you have a firewall on your server, then probably only a limited number of users from a particular location can access the server. Yeah. Proxy server shields the request between the client computer inside a private network and internet. So if you are creating a proxy server, then they will create a kind of VPN, virtual private network. They will only be the part of communication between the server and the user. Yeah, that's also a kind of way. Then security socket layer connects and transmits encrypted data. SHTTP, secure HTTP transfer protocol, transmits web page securely. Your banking, your email account, you must have seen in the bar that shows the HTTPS. Have you ever noticed it?
Yeah. On top of on the browser.
Yeah, in the browser, in the URL bar.
Yeah.
So by configuring these features with the integrated network components, it is possible to provide a privacy and security to reduce the database security intrusions. Yeah. So these are the measures you need to implement into the database. Okay.
Yeah.
Now the database link. Implementing database features using LAMP. LAMP is an archetypal model of web service solution stack, named as an acronym of the names of its original 4 open source components. You know what are the open source components?
Yeah.
So they are free, they are royalty free.
Yeah, free.
Yeah. So Linux operating system, Apache, HTTP server, and the MySQL relational database management system, and the PHP programming language. It's a kind of server including which runs the Linux, includes the Apache server and the database on the backside, and to provide you the database. Basically, if you look at the architecture of the application, then the browser that you use is a front view. Okay, the browser, the web browser is a front view, and the database you get the data from, it's a back end or back end, yeah. And who provides you the database to be, viewed into the browser? You get my question?
No, who provided the database? MySQL? SQL?
No, I mean, who provides the interaction between the database and the user?
Okay, I think that's the database management system.
That is called your middleware. Okay.
Okay, the middleware.
Middleware is basically the server, yeah, which runs in, let's say, PHP programming. Okay. It interacts with the database. It communicates with the user in the form of web page, yeah, and it allows the communication between you and the database. Okay. So LAMP is a kind of integrated solution which has a built-in MySQL database and Apache server, yeah, and works on the Linux. So it's an intro about the LAMP.
Okay.
Yeah. Then WAMP is a Windows-based Apache MySQL PHP Python or Perl server. Okay. And this is used for the same purpose as well. Okay.
Yeah.
So it gives you again the integrated freeware solution in order to create a web application and using a database. And obviously, when it comes to the database, then your part of the database starts there, and same way you create the tables into the MySQL. You communicate with the database, you create the database, you insert the data into the database, you manage the database. So everything is controlled, created using this application WAMP. Yeah. So is it clear? I mean, it is asking you to go through WAMP or LAMP so that you should be able to produce or create an application using this freeware.
Yeah.
Yeah. What is the purpose? To give you this introduction, because you have to concentrate on the database. Okay.
Yeah.
Graphical user interface, like I gave you an idea earlier, that probably your database could be accessed through the commands, yeah, in the tabular form. You just get a view, or you could also get the same thing into the forms as well. I gave you an example of the Microsoft Access. Yeah, you got it?
Yeah.
Okay. Testing plans. Database testing includes performing data validity. So whether the data is valid or not, you obviously do act accordingly. Data integrity. The data is valid and reliable. Performance related to database and testing of procedures, triggers and functions in the database. Consider an application that captures the day-to-day transaction details for users and stores the details in the database. From database testing point of view, the following check plan should be performed. The transactional information from the application should be stored in the database, and it should be provide the correct information to the user. So, correct information to the user is important. Information should not be lost when it is loaded into the database. Okay, these are the concerns normally, because it could be possible that the information could be lost or there could be some, the correct information issues. Only completed transactions should be stored and incompleted operations should be aborted. It shouldn't be the case that you created the database for the bank. Yeah, your database, took the money from one account and placed the money into another account, and the other account was debited, and the money was taken from, it was not updated, and there was a crash. Yeah. Would you like, for example, if you wanted to pay, let's say, $1,000 to someone, and the bank credited the $1,000 to the account whom you wanted to pay, and the bank didn't deduct the money from your account, will you be happy to do for that?
Yeah, that's the normal transaction.
Yeah, I mean, if the bank had a problem, they deducted the money from your account and paid the money to other account whom you wanted to pay, will you be happy?
Okay, if they take the money from my account and credit the account I want to pay?
I mean, they paid your bill, for example, yeah, but they didn't take the money from you due to some error, yeah, then who's in the loss?
Okay, it's the bank.
Yeah, so will you be happy? Okay.
Bank
So,
error.
if they forget, they don't ask you, then obviously you will be happy. Okay?
Yeah, sure.
So never, your database testing should include that if there is an incomplete operation, then you should abort on the both sides.
Okay.
Okay. So the other transaction, which the credited the other account, should also be aborted. Okay. The access authorization to the database should be maintained. No unapproved or unauthorized access to user information should be provided. Like, the authorization should be maintained. It shouldn't be the case. For example, the password for the employees remains same, for months or years. Probably every second day, maybe third day, the password should be changed.
Okay.
Structural database testing deals with the tables, columns testing, schema testing, stored procedures, and view testing, checking triggers. Okay. So when you say structure, then you test the table, columns, schemas. When say functional testing, it involves the checking functionality of a database from user point of view. Most common type of functional testing are white box and black box testing. We discussed, later on what is the white box and the black box. Non-functional testing, it involves the load testing, risk testing in a database, stress testing, minimum system requirement, and with the performance of database. Then, structural database testing involves the verifying those components of a database are not exposed to users. So obviously, the testing is not only say that how the users are connected, but it is also involves how the system has been designed. You have to test it. Schema or mapping testing, it involves validating the objects of front-end application with database object mapping. So basically, what happens? You do the structure testing, that how the structurally, the tables and individual components are made. Then you test as a whole, that how the function is, giving you the full result. And then you do the non-functional testing, like whether the whole application is sustainable, it is faster, it is slower, in this way. Okay?
Yeah.
Structural database testing continued. Stored procedures and views testing. Basically, when you say a view, A view is basically the virtual result of a query. In this testing, a tester ensures that the manual execution of stored procedures. Stored procedure is a kind of function that you predefine. Let's say every time you need to look at a particular result, then you create something, a command into a procedure. For example, when you say every time you want to see select, let's say, city from a particular table, yeah, and you need to use this command, let's say 100 times, then instead of using or writing, let's say, select city from table, you can create a procedure, let's say ABC. Then every time you write ABC, it will replace with your existing command. Make sense?
Yeah, I got it.
The views are basically, again, similar to this. You want to create a particular query in the so your intended or selected view should be in front of you. Okay.
Yeah.
The tester ensures that if it enables the required triggers to be executed as expected. So triggers are the actions that basically used in the function. Okay. So triggers are the functions basically. These are, these theoretical things might be going over your head. Okay. But
Yeah.
these are the terminologies used in the database language that you create views. You create the triggers. These are terms in order to create a small procedures, functions into the database, and you require to test those triggers, views, and functions. That's it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Once you will go into the details, then you will be understanding views and triggers, how to create a view, how to create a trigger. Okay. We are concerned here that you need to test the database from every aspect as well as its views and triggers as well. Okay.
Okay.
Table and column testing. The key area covered in this testing are validating the data types in the database to field values in front of end application. So obviously, how you will be testing, you need to check the database types, okay, whether the table has a suitable columns and type of, the columns or not. You need to test it. Yeah. Database server checks involves verifying if the database server can handle the expected number of transactions or not, or whatever the checks like load, its connectivity, its configuration, its authorization. So your testing involves the server itself, the structure of the tables, the functional testing, the non-functional testing, and overall all these terminologies applies to testing the database. Okay. And the black box testing is basically you test the system as a whole. You are only concerned that what result you are getting, and the white box, as the name implies, you go into each and every component of the database and look at every entity as a white. Okay. And then you test it. Make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So I explained to you this black box testing and white box testing. Yeah. So I told you the white box testing is the internal structure of the database into detail. Black box testing is testing the integrated database to check its overall functionality. Yeah.
Yeah.
Non-functional testing is basically the testing. You do not test the every component or the joint component, but you see its non-functional aspects like a load. How would you test if the database is supposed to claim that it can store like 100 or let's say 1,000 records? Okay, then you really need to put the 1000 records and see whether it is capable to accept and handle the load of the 1000 records or not. Make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. Obviously, you are not doing any test, but that is the non-functional test. You are trying to use it according to your need, which is the this capability, and you give a load and see how it goes. Stress testing is performed to identify the system breakpoint. In this testing, the application is loaded in such a way that the system fails at one point. The point is called a breakpoint of a database. Stress testing is basically instead of executing the whole a database, you create some breakpoints, and that at 30, for example, 30 records, how much is the load on the system? At the 70 records, how much is the load on the server? Yeah, let's say these commands like a load runner, wind runner, these things. So you are trying to check the stress on the system on particular levels, on particular number of records. That's it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like a load is the complete load, and stress is from the sections to sections. You create normally a breakpoint, and it gives you the load over into the sections and into the pieces. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So simply into components of a database, they are normally tables, query languages, and these things, they normally make up a database. Tables, queries, forms, reports, pages, macros, modules, and these are the components. Let's say for the MX access, you need to create a module, you need to create a macro. Macro and modules are kind of functions, as I already explained. For example, if you wanted one command, for example, select city from customers table, then instead of writing this particular command every time, you create a small macro or module. Let's say ABC. When you type ABC, it means it will be replaced with the particular command. Yeah.
Yeah.
Extreme data. When choosing what data to use to test a system, you need to think about why we are testing the system, to see if it works and to check it doesn't break. To do this, we use two types of test data. Normal data we use. This is data that would normally be entered into the system. And extreme data is still normal, but the last limit of the data. Okay.
Yeah.
For example, if the database is capable to store 1000 records, then you put the 1000 records and see how it goes. Okay. That's called the extreme data values. Okay.
Yeah.
If you need to do load testing, for example, then you need to put the extreme data values. Extreme data values means enter the all possible number of records and see how it goes. Error handling determines the ability of a database to properly process incorrect transactions. So for example, if any error happens, then your database should have some capability to handle the incorrect transactions, like commit or rollover. If any transaction was failed, then all the part of the transaction should be rolled. Make sense? So the purpose of error handling is that if anything goes wrong, for example, then you should be able to log the name of the error, for example, or you should be able to roll back whatever the problems happened, and so that you should remain safe, as well as your loss should be maintained, and the database administrators should be able to know that how to fix them. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's it. So learning outcome 3 is done, and tomorrow we will complete the learning outcome 4, and by the after these 4 learning outcomes, it will be completed, and tomorrow we will discuss about that how you will be creating an assignment, and further till tomorrow we will discuss tomorrow. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so tomorrow same time 8 p.m. UK time, and yours will be 2 p.m. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay then.
All right.
All right then. See you. Bye.
Yeah. Thank you.